Thanks for being with us here on your Friday morning. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is celebrating a post-Beatles career with a new exhibit titled Paul McCartney and Wings. Opening today, this is the first ever exhibit dedicated to McCartney and Wings, who had a string of hits throughout the 70s and early 80s. And you know who we're sending over to for this. Yeah, our WKYC Channel 3 rocker herself, Monica Robbins. You do many things, Monica, and you do them well.
Yes, and he had a little more than a string of hits. We will just say that catalog is quite extensive.
Yes.
Yeah, the exhibit, though, Dave, it's going to include instruments used on stage and in studios, lyrics, clothing, tour memorabilia, all from Wings. And joining me now are two former members of Wings, Laurence Juber, a guitar player, and Steve Holley, the drummer. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, obviously, when anybody thinks of Wings, they think of Paul McCartney. You two joined in '78.
Yeah.
And what was it like joining that particular band and being part of his post-Beatles career?
Up to you.
Well, Steve gave up Elton John to do Wings.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it was, and I had a career as a studio musician in London. So Paul McCartney, you know, studio work.
My situation, I'd just finished an album called A Single Man, and I had to say, I won't be able to do the tour today. And he said, what? I said, I'm really sorry. He said, how can you possibly do that? I said, how many chances in my life am I going to have to play with a Beatle? Seriously.
Yeah.
And he was like, gave me a big hug, and off we went.
So he's not mad at Paul for taking you, is he?
I was working with Kiki D, which led to that thing, and we had this beautiful "Don't Go Breaking My Heart," which was the big hit, you know, for her. So, but that's life.
But you know, Wings was Paul and Linda's band. I mean, you think of it as Paul McCartney and Wings, but it was a project that Paul really initiated so that he and Linda could work together. And because they were such a tight family unit, and then Denny Lane being, you know, the other core member, and so we came into it as the new guys, and it was kind of, that period was a little different from the previous, you know, from the Wings Over America period, because the musical culture was changing. There was kind of new wave and punk and everything, and Paul was really kind of wanting to have something that was coming back to basics. So we brought a different kind of musicianship, I think.
You haven't seen the exhibit yet, but
Not yet.
you both have things in it.
Yeah,
so give me an idea of what's in it and what will excite people.
Well, I thought about it for a while. I said, I don't know what to do about this. And I had these silly syndromes when they came out that I bought in New York on when we came over to do interviews, basically. So I have those, and I thought, what am I going to do with these? I thought, well, that's interesting, because they're on coming up, they're on a few things, they make the silly sounds, people remember. So I have those there, and then the thing we were talking about called a flexotone, which was developed in America in 1922. And it has a little ball and boom, and that's used on Arrow Through Me, introduces it. And then a jacket.
I have my Gibson SG guitar that I used on stage with Wings, and my Mesa Boogie amplifier too, and also a jacket. But the jacket that I have in there is the Wings tour jacket from Japan.
No kidding.
Yes.
The
infamous Japanese tour.
One of the things we were talking about earlier was you are now attracting younger listeners to the music. What does that mean to you?
I think it's great, you know, because it's like when you go back to that period, and there's such a period of authenticity in the music. And, you know, now in today's world where, you know, 50% of the stuff that's being released is all AI generated. And I think that the kids are really wanting to get back into it. And my daughter Ilse is a songwriter, and the people that she's worked with, like Harry Styles, for example, are all fans of that late period Wings too. So.
Well, we are running out of time, and I am remiss. You're sitting here with your guitar, so I think Dave wanted to hear Band on the Run.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong tuning for that.
Okay,
we're going to give you a little burst of Live and Let Die.
I'm going to play the table.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
soundtrack of my life. So there you go, Dave. Thank you so much. Make sure we need Matt Wintz to watch the James Bond movie so he at least knows what it is.
That was a better choice right there. I appreciate it. That was a lot of fun, Monica. Great interview. Thank them very much for being with us here this morning.
And welcome them to Cleveland. The rock and roll capital. So thank you.
That's right. There's a few things going on this weekend. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Monica.
Sure.